So today we're going to do a session looking at Power BI and how this can be used to help understand your guests, where your guests are visiting from a B&B. I guess it would work for anything, but in this case it's been used in a B&B, Willowbank House. Those of you watching this, given where we're at in our YouTube journey, I probably already knew this was going to be Willowbank House here in Enniskillen. Those new to the channel or those who have found this on the YouTube algorithm, we're in Enniskillen, Northern Ireland. So what have we done so far? We have taken the Power BI, downloaded it free of charge, and I have gone onto our property management system, which in this case is Little Hotelier, downloaded all the data from our guest visits and filtered by location that our visitors have come from. That's probably the most time-consuming bit of this project. So as you can see, I've managed to do that already, added the data to an Excel document, imported it into Power BI, and I'm using the available mapping software within Power BI. So there's a bit of a delay coming up here in getting the software to appear, software to draw in the data that I've input into the system, and I think it's the end of my working day as I record this, and I think my computer thought the same thing, so I've just quickly relabeled the data. One showing booking.com, which is obviously an online booking agency, and one showing direct booking. So as a general rule of thumb, we see a significant chunk of our bookings from booking.com, but that is an expensive way for the B&B to recruit guests. So where at all possible, we like to get our guests booking directly. So that's why we're using YouTube and social media, and I'm doing a series once a week on how we run the business and interesting things about it. Now we've missed a few things on the screen there. So a few interesting things that this ArcGIS or GIS software allows. You can overlay different interesting buckets of information that are built into the mapping software. Some of these could be relevant to B&B booking trends in Northern Ireland, Enniskillen, but they probably aren't. You never know. That's why tools like this are really interesting. You can apply different filters and different layers of data and start to compare it to your own data and see if that makes any sense. There we go. We're in business. So this is our directly booked guests, and it's every guest that's directly booked since February 21 up until the February 25. So not as many as I would like, but as you can see, we have an international appeal, huge prevalence towards domestic booking, and domestic is Northern Ireland, the Republic of Ireland in the UK, and the east coast of the US are more likely to book directly. And we have some activity in Australia, the south part of Africa, New Zealand, and I think that's Jordan there. But with strong prevalence to the UK and Ireland. Now, other interesting things this software can do, you can heat map. As you get closer, the heat mapping becomes a bit more like a pin drop, but you can see at that level of zoom clearly where we need to push East Coast, North Coast, Dublin, and the Galway area. They are by far our most prevalent areas for receiving bookings, followed by the east coast of the US, which just has a little bit of the yellow heat shining through. Fairly uninteresting spread across the rest of the UK. And I just here want to use a pin drop and put some clustering on. So the interesting thing about clustering is if you put a nice big radius as you zoom in, that clustering will break down, but it really helps you understand in pretty strong detail where your bookings are coming from. So yeah, by far big dot there over, well, it's showing the UK, well, it's showing the middle of the sea at this zoom, but you can see clearly domestic tourism is a big one for us. A little bit of activity there in Australia. But mostly across the UK, fairly generic spread across the UK. London there, again, these are the big population centres. It's no big surprise. London is also a decent source of directly booked bookings for us. So I use this for a few things, and I would say marketing being the primary one and personal interest the secondary. So a bit of interest there. Oh, there's an interesting thing here. We have a heat spot up here, which becomes a bit more apparent later in the video what it is, but I can tell you now there is a place called Derry and Londonderry, just south of Canada there. I'm not sure what state that is. Maybe that's New York State. Anyone who knows, let me know. But I did think it was interesting we had those two bookings so close to each other in the same town. But no, it's a quirk of the data, which is something that should always be watched out for. Now, this is Booking.com bookings. Booking.com is by far the most used booking platform for us in the B&B. So as you can see, as the numbers go up, it really starts to give us much better insight as to where we need to be focusing. So East Coast Australia, big area for us, huge international appeal island. Somebody there from New Zealand. So this is an interesting thing. You can choose different map types. So obviously the street map there makes it a bit easier to understand. East and East Coast of the US. West Coast comes alive as well when you start to factor in Booking.com. And Europe is just absolutely hustle and bustle for people booking using Booking.com, as is Ireland, as is the UK. So a few more patterns start to emerge when you have the Booking.com data. UK mainland, still a strong spread. Major population areas of Scotland, more bookings from there. Dublin comes alive, Belfast comes alive, Cork, yes, that started to shine through. So when you start to get these bigger numbers in your data, you can really start to see where your customers are coming from, so you can focus in on that area to improve what you're already getting. B, where you're getting some customers from, the strong custom coming from Germany, definitely, in my opinion, worth focusing some of your marketing there. People clearly are coming from Germany, but we could be getting more and understanding that market a lot more. US, no surprise, the US is a big area of custom for Ireland, Republic and North, and that shows through on this data here as well. And here's the realization of the naming of the town there. So maybe we did have people from there, but my suspicion is they're domestic visitors. But again, showing the power of the tool and the overlaying that the limitation of the data and making sure you have good clean data and that you're not kind of running into any errors. So what I would say here is, rule of thumb, broad brush, this is useful data. So again, just changing the contrast on the heat mapping, just for interest.